The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies and Miniature Wargames Your Battle Games magazine, and also by the generous donations of you, the listeners. So, special thanks to Alex McIntosh, Tom Privatera, Glenn Oberhauser, Keith Erickson, Thomas Brandsetter, and Jonathan Ormandy. Guys, your support helps make this podcast happen. Thanks once again. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 145. Interview with Westwind Productions, with hosts Neil Shuck and Mike Hobbs, and guest Andy Cooper.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. I'm Neil Shuck and once again I am joined by Mike Hobbs. Hi Mike.
Hello.
Oh, how is life in the wilds of Wales?
Oh, wet and miserable.
Yeah, it's been quite wet over here today. Mind you, Wales is always wet and miserable.
Yeah, it's business as normal really.
I was going to say, was it just a case of the rain was just more horizontal than normal?
It was just under horizontal, which we class as a nice day.
The postcard that you may have seen, the four seasons of Wales, which is the sheep in getting rained on in all four seasons. Isn't that far from the truth at times. Having said that, I have been to Wales and it's been sunny.
Have you?
I have. It was about 1987, I think it was.
I remember that, yeah. The Great Welsh Drought.
We digress with this frivolity about the weather.
Yes.
Okay, so what have we got in store for you today? Coming up shortly, we've got an interview with Andy Cooper from Westwind. Now, you may remember on the last show, we did catch up with Andy and Wendy at the end of a very long day at Salute. But we did manage to catch up with them and have a chat with a few things. We're going to go have opportunity to get a bit more in-depth chat with Andy, all about War and Empire and a bit about Requiem, because a few things have happened on that. And also looking forward to what they're doing next. You heard us going, ooh, and ah, and ooh, that's nice. Which made really great radio. During this Elite podcast, as Andy was showing us all this concept art that he's got for his upcoming Kickstarter. Believe me, it'll be worth it. So anyway, we're going to be chatting to Andy today. In the meantime, let's do a really quick catch up to say what we've been up to. So what have you been doing yourself, Mike?
I've been Vanguarding for Spartan.
You've been Vanguarding? Oh, yeah, right, okay. So you've sold your soul twice over, have you?
Yeah, well, I thought seeing the Grit and Beast had got most of my soul. I thought I'd give what's left to Spartan. So I offered my services to sort of do some demos for them down in Cardiff.
Yes, at this small, friendly local game store that you've got in Cardiff these days.
Tiny little place. Yeah, we managed to get a small table in place, but yeah, it was good. So I did a plan for demo for all day, which was great fun. We had some guys come down. Two of them had played before. One hadn't, and I just did a quick 10 minutes. This is how the rules work. And he went off, bought a box set, came back, glued it together, and said, "Okay, can you show me how to play?" And
what you mean? Like he went away, bought a box set, and just kind of sat at the table in the game shop.
Yeah, glued them all together, and then they played. So I was sort of helping them sort of umpiring our game whilst doing demos as well. So it was great, cool. Even though they were using unpainted figures, but
Oh, the horror.
Yes. And the fact that glue wasn't even set on half of them. It was great. Really good fun. I did about 5 or 6 demos during the day.
I mean, that's really interesting, isn't it? That really is one of those seize the moment. Oh, I like this game. I'll go and grab a box off the shelf, or just walk past the shelf and it falls off. According to some people.
Yeah. Moving on. Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah. You have to have a word with this guy in Cardiff about these shelves. They sound a little bit unstable.
Oh, it's a health and safety nightmare. If I'm not there to catch the stuff as it falls off the shelves.
Oh, the consequences on members of the general public would just be horrendous, wouldn't it?
Small children could be injured, Neil.
So what you're telling me is that all this catching of games is just an act of self-sacrifice?
Oh, I dive underneath the box before it hits the floor. And then I have to buy it because it's damaged. That's my excuse.
Where was I? Just that immediacy and the enthusiasm of somebody going, oh, right, okay, I want to play this game, go and grab a box, glue everything together, and then kind of go, bang, okay, show me how to play. I think that's just brilliant.
Yeah, it was really good. It was great fun. I've also picked up some of the Firestorm Armada stuff.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Firestorm Armada, that's their spaceship game.
Hang on. So Armada. So this isn't the Star Wars Armada that you just got that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago.
No, this is Firestorm Armada. But I thought, if I'm demoing Planetfall, Firestorm Armada's in the same universe, and they do a starter set, well, I'm beholden to the company, who now owns part of my soul, to, have a look at that so I can answer questions if people ask me. So I bought that one.
So that fell off the shelf as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go with that. That fell off the shelf as well. Now, interestingly enough, I was pleasantly surprised with, shall we say, is the fact that the Firestorm Armada starter set uses the same factions as the Planetfall starter set. It's the same campaign as well, which is even so. They've written this whole fluff around these two starter sets, which is really it's quite a nice little read as well. So you've literally got this little self-contained ground assault going on, whilst you've got the spaceship game pretty much in tandem at the same timeline.
That's really nice. That's a really nice concept because, you kind of look at the way some people produce games and starter sets and stuff, and they just kind of throw either what will sell the most models, or actually potentially what will sell the least models even.
Yeah.
But we'll make them into the starter set because that means at least we'll ensure that we'll sell X amount of that figure because that's the only thing you can get in the starter set. Actually making it so it's all integrated.
And it's you've got two. Well, the word starter set sort of sums it up, because the campaigns that are in there start you off from a couple of figures up to everything that's in the box set. So it's a nice primer if you wanted to learn the rules. So I figures are gorgeous. You've got to give it to Spartan. Their resin is fantastic. So didn't pick nose up. And then my mate Steve down Firestorm, who I played Planetfall with, he wants to try out Legions as well. So
which is
the 28mm, 32mm Dystopian Wars skirmish game. Which is
okay, but of course that's another new game. Oh, mind you, hang on a second. Legions, didn't you get a starter set for Legions a while ago? Didn't you get?
Yeah. I got Pushins and Brits, so I've actually got the figures there to do that. So I've just downloaded the rules because they put all the rules up free. God bless them. So just download the rules.
All right, so no need to buy anything at all for that.
Well, you say that. I thought, well, I haven't really got that much there, so I want to get a couple of squads together. So I have bought one or two little boxes just to extend it what I've got.
Okay, so obviously it was just fleshing out your existing army, wasn't it?
Just fleshing out the existing army, yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Why do I not believe you, Mr. Hobbs?
It was no more than 4 or 5 boxes I bought.
Honest.
No more than that. Honest.
What have I been up to? I think we'll just pass quickly on.
Yeah, let's do that.
Nothing more to see here, I know, yeah. Tale of a war gamer, yeah.
Yeah.
I know I was that soldier. What have I been doing? Well, you may have been reading my exploits on the blog. I've been busy losing at Chain of Command and finding whole new ways of losing at Chain of Command.
You lost a tiger, man. You lost a tiger.
Not the tiger. No. Oh, that was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
How many Piet shots did he put into?
7.
And you sat there and you let him.
Of course, yes. I sat with my tiger in the middle of the table and did nothing with it. Yeah.
Well, that's a mistake.
I tell you, I have never seen dice rolling like it. Okay. I think I vented some of my. You may have gone a little bit of my frustration in the battle report that I wrote. Obviously, if you've heard us talk about Chain of Command, the big thing is rolling command dice. And, we joked in the Salute Show about us playing the quickest game of Chain of Command ever, when Dave managed to outflank me in the patrol phase.
Which just takes some doing.
No, it doesn't. It's just, we were playing across the width of the table as opposed to lengthways, which I think is actually one of the things I think Chain of Command works a lot. People might kind of go, this is potentially a flaw. I don't know, but I think Chain of Command works better lengthways played down a table than it is playing across the table. Because the times we've played across the table before, we've always ended up effectively almost like turning the flanks anyway during the patrol phase. So, so we end up deploying across the table for kind of at least diagonally across the table from each other. So I think Chain of Command potentially works better on a 6x4 table when you're playing down, deploying off the two short ends. But I'm perfectly open to argument on that. But the fact that he just, as a defender, I deployed across the middle of the table, and then he basically just deployed on one extreme end, and then basically advanced right down the one side, and I couldn't get over quick enough to stop him. I think the phrase "not my finest hour" springs to mind. But that was eclipsed by, as I say, the game we played a couple of weeks ago. I thought, great, I'm attacking. I rolled maximum points. Fantastic, I'll take 2 tanks and see how he copes with it. So we ended up with a Panzer IV and a Tiger. The Panzer IV lasted 2 shots. It got hit on the front by a Piet. It was a non-penetrating hit, or it was one of these kind of even number of hits. So the driver panicked and reversed. At which point he then ambushed me with a Chain of Command dice. I thought, I've got shirts and it's only a Piet. Yeah. Foom. Yeah, that wasn't pretty. And then it was followed on, and I tell you, the frustrating thing is when you're facing an opponent and you suddenly realise that he's not doing anything wrong, and you're running out of ideas on what to do, especially when you have a frontal assault. I'm in an assault, but I've got heavy woods on 2 sides, so I'm basically advancing over a 16-inch front. Okay, down the road, down the middle of the table. That is my only, that's my only open field of fire. And then, because he's British, he just goes and fills the entire middle of the table with smoke. You can't see a blooming thing. And so, the only way you're going to get, and because I'm playing the attacker, you've got to do something, haven't you? So, you advance. So all you end up doing is just advancing into short range, and you're just playing straight into Power's hands because they are deadly in close combat.
Yeah.
And it was important. But other than that, as I was saying, this thing with Chain of Command, the fact that you dice for your command phase, and then if you happen to roll a 6, you then get another go.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that 7 times. And not only that, but of those 7 times, twice were triples, not doubles. So there were times when he was there was definitely one point where he got 6 phases to my 2. And it was during that time that the tiger died.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't get any opportunity to kind of go, right, okay, let's move the turret around and even just, machine gun these guys. No, I haven't got time because he's got next phase as well. And even when the tiger died, it didn't have the good grace to explode. It just went boom, as in, foot. As opposed to, not a catastrophic explosion, which, where the magazine goes off. Because funnily enough, if the magazine had gone off, at least it might have killed one of the Piat team.
Have you ever thought of getting another hobby? Sort of fishing or... Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a golf. It might be cheaper.
Yeah.
I think I texted you the following morning and went, I hate wargaming. What
Yeah.
ever start this hobby?
Stupid game.
Stupid game. Yeah. I hate Johnny Command.
Yeah. I'm a board gamer. That's it.
Okay, sometimes having your backside handed to you on a plate is. It's sometimes it really is bad, and sometimes it's not quite so bad.
It's a learning experience.
Well, that's what I'm putting it down to. But some people kind of go, hang on a second, how long have you been playing wargaming? How long does it take you to learn these things?
Next time, try some artillery.
Yes. Yeah, I think...
Just take bog standard German infantry, lots of them, and lots of artillery.
Yeah, infantry guns and take enough support for 2 platoons or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try and swamp in.
Yeah, trouble is, you know what that means. That means I'm going to have to actually paint some figures because you haven't given me enough figures to do that.
Okay, I'll send over.
So actually, at this point, the whole reason, and I'm blaming this on you because you haven't provided me with the right figures that I need to choose for the game because I haven't got any 250 half tracks, I haven't got any infantry guns, and I haven't got enough troops. So actually, me losing at Chain of Command is all your fault.
Okay, on that note.
On that note, Mr. Hobbs is leaving the podcast and he's never speaking to me again.
I can only apologise for giving you rubbish troops to play your games with.
I suspect these troops have never faced battle before. At least that's the way they're playing. I mean, you'd have thought at least that the commander would have actually kind of instilled something into his troops so they wouldn't lose quite so badly, quite so often. Yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, I am grateful in the fact of if Mr. Hobbs hadn't lent me his troops,
you wouldn't have lost.
Well, I wouldn't have lost, but I wouldn't be playing. I can't complain from that side of things. It's just, it's just funny. In an ironic sort of way. So that's kind of what I've been doing for the last few weeks. I mean, it's great to be playing. And as I said on a previous show, this whole thing of having gone through all the effort to be actually going down and kind of going right, we're playing all this stuff, and say we're still adding bits to it and what have you, and each time things change, we get little extra bits and pieces, and it's the same in the middle of painting up a whole load of buildings at the moment. Once these buildings are done, and then I'll painting me river. I might then be at a point where I can actually start painting some figures. That would be cool. Although, maybe it's a case of I need to paint some figures just to break the monotony of painting all the scenery. You never know.
Yeah.
Or failing that, at some point I might get some transfer orders. You might turn around and just go, that's enough. I've had enough of your complaining. You can give me your figures back.
No, you can hold on to them until you actually win a game.
You really want me to have them for that long?
Yeah.
I could just see it here in 2017. Hey, Mike, do you want your figures back?
Yeah. Dave didn't turn up this week, so I won.
I won by default.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go, let's get Andy on.
Let's get Andy on. Yes,
Yeah.
enough frivolity. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks, but enough of this. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking with Andy Cooper from Westwind Prodctions.
eagles have gone. Britain lies defenseless in a cruel world. Since the birth of our Lord, it has been 456 years. What sins have we committed to bring this punishment to Britain? I speak, of course, of the Saxons. They came as allies, but now they seek conquest. The lands of the Britons lie ravaged before them. Blood runs red in our island. We need a leader to stand against them. We need a man to bring together the Britons in common cause. We seek a Dux Britanniarum.
Right, that's enough of that. Dux Britanniarum from Two Fat Lardies. They really are very good.
Well, we're very pleased to welcome back to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast, Andy Cooper from Westwind. Hi, Andy.
Hello, Neil.
It's good to have you back on the show. Thanks for. I know we caught up very quickly at Salute at the end of something of a hectic day.
We did. I've been busy. Yeah, sore feet.
We planned for a while to have Andy back on the show. I mean, we just missed out on speaking to him just before their last Kickstarter went live, which was the War and Empire Kickstarter. But, we were kind of planning to speak to Andy and Wendy just before then, and then that went live. And of course, you know what Kickstarters are like; it just went hectic, didn't it? Anyway, it's good stuff that we've we can catch up now at the end of one Kickstarter and just before the start of another.
Yes, we're getting ready for the next one. Our big one.
So we can catch up with all that. First off, let's hark back to Empire of the Dead Requiem, which was the first Kickstarter you ran, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, back, what was that, 3 years ago now? Yeah, 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
Is it really that long ago?
It is, yeah.
Is it that long ago that I received my box of figures and they haven't seen the light of day yet? Oh dear.
And you haven't painted any yet, Neil.
I haven't painted
yet. Shame on you. Shame on you.
I'm hanging my head in shame even as we speak. But yeah, time flies. Yes. Obviously, that was the first time you went to Kickstarter, and that ended up going pretty well, didn't it?
It did. It went really well. Yeah, it was very popular. It's like one of the biggest projects we've ever done, though. You know, which is probably why it took us over a year to make it.
Off the top of your head, at the end of the Kickstarter, because it did kind of go a bit crazy at the end, and you were having to rush out concept art there to the bits and pieces. How big of a range did you actually produce in the end? Because I know you were aiming originally around about 100 models, and then it kind of
that's true.
That, didn't it?
It's a couple of hundred sculpts at least. Yeah, and then there's all the special wagons and the equipment and the machines and tons of stuff. And we nearly did the Martian thing as well, but thankfully we're going to keep our powder dry for that one.
Yeah,
that'd be good. Honest to me, I went a bit mad on Requiem, but I have painted some. Yeah, I got at least 70 or 80 painted.
Oh, really?
Me?
Great.
Yeah, about 70. I've done loads of them.
So he's the part of the podcast that actually paints stuff.
Right. Oh, good.
Yeah. And I've used it in games.
Have you played it? Have you played the game?
I started playing when you released the first version of Requiem. I played with some of the figures there. What I found was the ones I was painting weren't in the first edition, so I kind of started playing Pulp Alley, just using the figures. So now I've got the Requiem, the final version. I downloaded it the other day. Means I can go back in and try it out again, because I really like it. Empire of the Dead. It's a really good narrative game, and it's fun. And it plays quick. Yeah, it's
nice
just
system.
yeah, it is really, really good. So now I've got the figures and the rules. That's it. Now I'm going to get a bit of time and tell my mate we're going to be playing it again, which might mean I'm actually.
We put a lot of work into the rules set as well. The actual polishing of it and everything. Artwork and bringing it all together. I think I've produced a really nice book there. And hopefully we'll get it printed at some stage. We've got the PDF running, so what we're going to do is use the funds from the PDF to produce the actual printed book, in the near future.
Right, okay. Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, because PDF was published to backers, as we're speaking, it's the 18th of May. Well, it was back in the last week, wasn't it?
Yes, but you can get it on Wargames Vault. We put it on Wargames Vault as well, so people who didn't back the Kickstarter have been downloading it from Wargames Vault.
That's good. It's a great tune. It's 160 pages.
Yes.
Just wonderful Requiem goodness. The one thing I really like about Requiem is the figures sculpting in there, because you don't make anything too steampunky and ridiculous. It's always very natural sculpting in it, which I like. It's very gothic horror and understated.
Yeah, it's Victorian rather than steampunk, I suppose. There are some characters.
Yeah.
But not many, just a few. It's more to do with the gothic side, definitely.
Yeah, and it sort of follows in with what you read in the books. I suppose I'm trying to say it's understated, but it works.
It's kind of like, I don't know if you've seen, there's a TV series on at the moment on Sky, Penny Dreadful.
Oh, yes.
Penny Dreadful's kind of more like Empire of the Dead, even though it came after Empire of the Dead kind of thing. It's in a similar sort of vein.
Yeah, I was watching that actually last night, thinking, let's go back to the things I haven't painted and see what fits in here.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I finally caught up on Ripper Street and kind of went, oh yeah, we'll see what this is coming.
Yeah, you recognise some of those guys, yeah.
Yeah. Basically, we're now in a situation. The Requiem rules are finally available. I know at the end of the Kickstarter, as you already mentioned, at the end of the Requiem Kickstarter, we were hinting at the next stage of possibly going to Mars. So, from what you've said already, that's kind of perhaps on the plans as something to do in the future.
Yeah, I've got a lot of ideas sort of stored away for later for that. So it's kind of revolves around the original characters from Empire of the Dead and characters from Victorian fiction. But what we're going to try and do with the Mars thing is weave all the characters into a different situation, if you know what I mean. So, for instance, Professor Cavor, okay? So our plans for Cavor are, I don't know how long this is going to take me to explain, but Cavor, as you know, he goes to the moon and he discovers the aliens, I can't remember the names of them, the Celestites, or the guys that live beneath the moon's surface. And Cavor actually dies in an accident, in our story, in the new one. He died in an accident, but the aliens put him inside the hive thing, the honeycomb thing. And he becomes sort of the big brain, if you know what I mean, and becomes the sort of controller of the moon people. And he finds that he can clone himself. So he clones him, he recreates 12 versions of himself and sends them back to Earth. Each one goes to a different nation state to sort of, he wants to develop technology but safely. He wants to control alien technology and guide mankind kind of thing. So that's what happens with Cavor. So we want to do similar things with Nemo and various other characters. Change the stories, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
It does, and very expensive.
Well, 12 Cavors. No, you only need one.
oh, pish posh. We've got to have 12. Paint them all different.
The 12 apostles, Yeah.
Okay, so that's something we can look forward to in the future then.
Yeah, it's just one of the ideas they're throwing around.
So after Requiem,
yeah,
you then came back with another Kickstarter, which was for something a bit different.
Totally different. Yeah.
Yeah. War Empire, 15mm Ancients, and then you also launched it under Forged in Battle as opposed to Westwind. So the first question, why go with Forged in Battle rather than Westwind?
Okay. Forged in Battle is Westwind's kind of historical arm. Yeah, it's the same company, but it's just our historical brand. And we did that, we kept it separate because a lot of people do cross over, but there are customers that don't particularly want to see science fiction and fantasy stuff on the same page that are seeing World War II guys or Napoleonics or whatever it might be, you know. So we decided to set up a total separate brand for that.
Obviously, you've got under Westwind, you've got, say, for example, you've got a Dark Age Arthurian range.
We do, yeah, we do. So we haven't migrated.
Given that argument, would they really kind of now fit under Forged in Battle as opposed to Westwind?
They would, but we want to kind of, everything we do for Forged in Battle, we want to start it off as Forged in Battle. So we have left certain bits and pieces still with Westwind that were originally with Westwind. Fine,
okay. Because I must admit, at one point I was thinking, maybe it's a scale thing. Because, I mean, okay, the ships aside, I mean, obviously, yeah, Forged in Battle is, I suppose, up until now has been primarily known as 15mm World War II.
Yeah.
So, now you're going 15mm Ancients. So I was thinking, maybe it's part of it is a scale thing because obviously Westwind is pretty much a 28mm company, isn't it? So, okay, so it was launched as an historical range. So why go back to Kickstarter?
Why go back to Kickstarter? Well, Kickstarter reaches a lot more people than just standard marketing. So if you go, okay, we've got to come up with a marketing plan. So we've got to advertise here. We've got to, do this. It is much easier to just go, okay, we'll go to Kickstarter. We'll offer people a really good deal, and that will work as our marketing.
Right.
It was a very brave decision, I must admit, because, I mean, the ancient 15mm area is quite saturated with, with a lot of very old, very well-established ranges out there. Did you feel slightly intimidated sort of going into that market? Or did you think...
I've done it before. So I designed all the old glory 15mm ranges back in, about 20 years ago now. So I've got the experience. I've got quite a lot of experience because I've been designing since I left school for various companies. So I've designed 15mm Ancients at least 3 times all the way through. I've designed 28mm Ancients all the way through twice. I've designed Napoleonics all the way through. So, I mean, you name it, I've designed it.
All right, so this wasn't so new, because when we first saw it, I thought, God, that's big. I had no plans to go into Ancient at all.
Right.
And then I ended up spending quite a bit. So, I mean, glossing over that subject, it went really well. I mean, I think you ended up taking over 50 grand. I think for an Empire, which is
53 something, yeah, 53 grand, yeah.
Which is, it's a massive amount. And
I'll tell you the truth. We actually did more because the way it works. We did a backers only website, so it was set up like a web store. So the actual size of the project increased by about another 30% after that as well.
Yeah, that's about right.
Mind you, having said that, doing the dastardly side offer of a discount on the World War II stuff was that proved to be a master move and cost a lot of money.
Did that pull you in, Neil? Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't do 15mm Ancients, I do 6mm Ancients. Well, hang on a second. Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
It was like, certainly whilst the 15mm Ancients, while very nice, I was kind of going, well, I've got all these 6mm armies sat on my shelf waiting to be painted. The lure of 15mm World War II was far too difficult to resist. I suppose that was a big thing. I mean, I noticed you were you ended up with well over 500 orders, didn't you, for all that in the end?
I just checked with Wendy because she did that. Wendy, how many orders did we get altogether on War and Empire? 600
Yeah.
orders. Yeah. But I think we made over 250,000 castings over the year, not including buildings and all that kind of stuff. In fact, it probably went as high as 300,000 spin cast figures.
But they're lovely. I've got to say, I mean, I bought ancient Greeks and Persians.
Right, yeah.
And the ancient Greeks, I've sort of got 2/3 Greeks and 1/3 Persians, because I wanted to do Peloponnesian. So I've got Spartans, Athenians, and that's what I bought in the Kickstarter. And then when you released the Pledge Manager, I sort of went in and thought, I could do some more shield transfers. Oh, well, if I'm buying the shield transfer, a village. And sort of 70, 80 quid later, I'm sort of going click, 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 and away we go. And the castings are fantastic. I've been getting them painted up because I'm lazy.
Right.
But my painter chap, he's done a fantastic job on them. And they're just the right scale. You know, they're not too thin. You can see the detail on them. The shield transfers just make them pop. And they're fantastic.
I'm glad you like them. And we put a lot of effort into, the sculpts and everything. And I think I sculpted well over 1,000 masters for that range. It's a lot of stuff.
Mm.
I mean, from that side of things, originally, because you started on the Kickstarter, you started quite small and went, okay, well, let's just start like Rome and some of the immediate armies around there.
Yeah.
I know in the scope of things, most miniature companies kind of think, well, if we're doing an Ancients range, sooner or later we're going to have to cover most areas. Did you really expect you were going to end up having to do it all at once?
Well, I suppose that comes from my training, because I did work for, like I say, I worked for Old Glory.
Yeah.
And we used to work that way. That's what we used to do. So I would spend 6 months sculpting ranges that wouldn't see the light of day for a year, because they'd be sculpted and then we put them into production and then they'd be manufacturing. So for me, it's the same way that I've always worked. So Kickstarter's great for that, because it gives me that massive lead time to actually do the development kind of thing.
And so, you ended up with, what was it, 29 armies, I think, is it?
Yeah, so I think it's 26 armies. Or 23. I think it might be 23. I think there's 23 armies, yeah.
Right. Even so, as I say, 1,000 masters or so. Massive amount of work. And it was interesting, the fact that I'm wondering kind of what sort of impact that had on the company, because you kind of ran the Kickstarter and then I'm assuming you're kind of ticking over in the background. But Westwind just basically just kind of went quiet.
It switched off. Well, Westwind went, because you can either focus on one thing totally or the other thing totally. It's very difficult to juggle, but we now have a plan in place for that, because obviously when you kind of commit to something like that, it takes you a long period of time, and you can't therefore break off to sculpt World War II German infantry in 15mm to release steadily over the year. But what we've done, we've actually built a backlog up while we've been working on War and Empire of World War II products for Forged in Battle. And we've got products coming for Westwind as well. So we've actually got some, believe it or not, Empire of the Dead things we didn't actually put into the Kickstarter originally. There's a bunch of those, including a steam land dreadnought and a bunch of other, like a little steam tank kind of thing, and some characters on bicycles and all kinds of things. And then for the Forged in Battle, we've got Africa Corps. For those, we've got the infantry and the support weapons for the infantry. We've got the artillery. We've got 8th Army. We've got support weapons for the 8th Army. And we've got the artillery. And we've got a bunch of vehicles as well. And
Cool.
And we've also got a lot of extra ship. The 1/3000 scale ship range. We've got a Copenhagen set, Battle of Copenhagen.
Oh, the 1807 one, yeah?
Yeah, so we've got the actual Copenhagen fortifications, kind of the Star Fort and the draft batteries and the demasted ships and all that kind of stuff. All that's done. And we're kind of going to bring that out over the year as we do this next project.
Wow, so on top of the fact that you've been sculpting these 20-odd armies in 15mm,
yeah, all
this other stuff has been going on as well?
Yes. But it's not just me. It's not just me, Neil. We have got another sculptor, so, who makes vehicles and equipment. So a lot of that is vehicles and equipment.
Even so, mate, let's be honest. I know sculptors who can just about manage to make 4 figures a month.
Well, I'm a kind of productive. Yeah.
I mean, you said that, obviously, where you've worked from, you've done this thing before where you just kind of head down and go for several months producing a range, and even to the point that where you've done ancient ranges before in various scales. I mean, when it came down to it, was this just an easy, was this just okay? Well, here I am again, sort of thing. But now I've got a different chance to sculpt things a little bit more to my spec. And I mean, was that an easy thing, or once you got to model 736, did it become a bit of a slog?
It's just experience, really. So, the way I work, I'll make, let's say I've got 4 armies I'm working on. So let's say I make a third of pack 1, a third of pack 2, a third of pack 3, and a third of pack 4. And then we'll mould those, and then we'll take the parts, and then we'll recycle the parts, and they'll become the next third, and they'll go in a mould. Meanwhile, you're making the next, you work on like a rotation system, so you'll be making a part of a pack. You won't make the whole pack, and then you'll use those parts when they come back from the moulding to make some more parts for that pack. So you get a lot of cross fertilization, especially if you're doing ancients, because a lot of the barbarian types will mix, so you can chop Germans around and put the heads from this guy on this guy and the axes and give them spears. I mean, I think there must be 60 different Germans in the actual war bands and stuff, which is a lot. For a 15mm range, it's kind of crazy. Yeah. But I love barbarian stuff, so I just got crazy on that stuff.
One of the things I noticed with War and Empire, and I hope this is going to come to the rules, is you released a lot of siege equipment as part of the Kickstarter.
Yes.
Which you don't normally see in Ancients. Normally you see just the armies, and you might get a city wall that you can shove into the corner of the table. But you saw that very, very early on, going, siege ramps and the big balusters and all that sort of stuff. I'm kind of guessing that the rules you're going to produce are going to have a siege, or have rules in there for running sieges.
We're going to hope to have some siege rules in there, yes, definitely. But we haven't developed any siege rules as yet.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because siege rules are really complicated things to do, aren't they? It's something like I don't think I've ever actually found a war game that actually does them properly.
Because you use a lot of men in sieges, don't you, kind of thing, so it's kind of difficult to reflect that.
Yeah, and it's also the fact that the siege component, goes on for months before any sort of battle.
Yeah.
So you almost have to have this sort of pre-game phase where you're working out, where you get the breach in the wall, and then suddenly you have a very quick battle. So that's something that I'm really interested in seeing. So
one of the ideas we had when we approached the rules, and I don't know how people will take this. Have you ever played a game called Rome Total War?
Oh, PC game.
Yeah, Rome Total War, where you can you play the sieges real time kind of thing, and it's kind of speeded up, kind of accelerated siege game, and that's where we came from when we were developing the siege sort of stuff. It was like, okay, let's play a siege game, but let's kind of make it more fun, not long and drawn out, so the siege game will take place, in a couple of hours, and you either storm the place or you don't. But we were trying to develop a really simple campaign system, which the siege games would sort of sit inside. And basically the way the campaign system we've been talking about will work is it's basically a deck of cards which have got different territories on them. Okay, so if let's say you're Scythians, in the Scythian army gets more planes, yeah, because they're a horse-based army, skirmishes and stuff. You get so many cards. Let's say 6 of those would be plains, and then 2 of them could be mountains, or 1 could be a forest, or 1 could be marshland. Those are all kind of random. And then if you're playing another player, you both place a card down, and those are your frontier cards. So if you place a mountain range, yeah, half the table will be not mountains, it'll be hilly, and the other guy places a plain. You know, he gets more plain terrain to play on. And then if you win that game, you play the other player plays another card, and it's kind of like you can keep playing your rubbish cards, you know, the ones that will slow the enemy down, but eventually you're going to run out of those if you keep losing games. And that was the idea behind the campaign system. Really simple campaign system.
That sounds really interesting.
Okay.
It's a good concept. I mean, anything that brings in just ways of setting up the terrain for a game, you know, in that sort of manner that it's sort of controlled by the player, but you know, it's got that little bit of chaos in it is always good.
Yes, yeah. And the cards kind of all specify certain things as well. So they might have kind of like there might be broken ground where you can hide troops and stuff like that. So it might say just, you know, 1 piece of broken ground that you can conceal a unit of white cavalry or something like that.
How are the rules coming on for War and Empire? Because I think you released the beta set to...
We've actually done 2 betas. The first one we didn't like. The second one was not even as good as the first one. So the third one kind of takes components from the first and the second, simplifies them, and makes it a much smoother game. So right now we've been play testing them for about 2 or 3 months. What we'll do is put a free play test set out that anybody can download when it's ready, and we'll put a section for feedback in it. So what we want is kind of a living kind of rule book to begin with, so we can get, you know, more, give people kind of a game that they want to play.
I got hold of the version 9 beta, which you released to the Kickstarter pledges, I think a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to try and get those onto the table fairly soon. Okay,
yeah. Yeah, it's a different way. It's a different rule system. They're different the way they work. I wish Anthony was here. They've written them. I'd have to play a game with you to sort of go through it. It's difficult to sort of explain the concepts and everything on the phone.
Well, maybe what we'll do is when the rules get a little bit more sort of condensed down and ready to go, we can get yourself and Anthony on the podcast to talk about them in a lot more detail.
Yeah, I'll get Anthony on the phone for you, and he can chat with you, because he's the guy who's developed it all.
Yeah.
It's a guy called Anthony Spencer.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, it'd be good to speak to Anthony.
But basically, I mean, the rules are coming out. They are going to be a large battle, ancient game.
Yeah, fast play. Yeah.
That's one of the things that came out from the very early beta, wasn't it? It's going to be hour and a half max to play a big game in.
Yeah. The demo games we play take about 2 hours, but then we're sort of going over things and saying, well, what about this and what about that, and you know, the way the units work, you don't count individual stands. They're kind of more like the entire unit is an element kind of thing, and it fights as an element, and it depends the size of the number of stands that they make it up. Stop it. They can either, so say small Roman units, they can easily be outnumbered by bigger units. Yeah, so you have to put them close together. You can't deploy them spread out, otherwise barbarians just smash over the top of them because they outnumber them. And things like that. But you've got a more flexible army with the Roman army, so it tends to stand around a lot longer. Although I have beaten it twice with my barbarian.
Just keep charging. That's usually what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's just lucky dice on my absolutely lucky dice. Just lucky dice.
Oh, well, that's Neil's stuff because he's got no lucky dice at the moment with his games.
Right.
Yeah, let's step away from that. Mind you, I think that's the problem with going to play World War II to playing Ancients. I was winning playing Ancients. But anyway, that's beside the point. I suppose one question with this is that, as I say, given the scale that you had to work on, and obviously the fact that War and Empire rules have been ongoing development now for probably the best part of 12, 18 months.
Yeah, year and a bit. Yeah.
As I say, it was a real big bang as far as a range release was concerned. Is that something you consider doing again on the same scale?
Oh yeah. Kickstarter's the way forward for us, and I don't really. I mean, I've considered doing smaller Kickstarter projects, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the way my brain's wired. I'm kind of write a big list and just want to do the big list.
Oh right.
Yeah, rather than write a little list and go, well, let's just do Imperial Romans, and it doesn't. I think you've got to have the scope for bringing people in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's a case of rather than kind of going, well, I want to play ancient gaming, but I want to play with Indians.
Yeah, and you're not doing Indians for this thing. Yeah.
No. It's like fine. We'll do. Yes, we'll do ancient Indians, but you're going to have to wait for 2 years, before they're complete.
If we ever do them, because we might skip on to doing Napoleonics. I mean, I'm not saying we will, but
But yes, I know what you mean. That's kind of the thing that people see, isn't it? It's kind of a range starts. It normally starts ancient Rome, and it either starts at Civil War or it starts at Punic Wars.
Yeah, and
then by the time you've got to the end of Rome, they're onto something else.
Yeah, American Civil War pops up, and you're like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, so I say so. This opportunity to turn around and go, right, okay, let's do 20 plus ancient armies. Bang, there you go.
Yeah, that's all you're going to need to do from that period to that period. So if we did, let's say we did Imperial Rome, we would go from early, just before the Guardian Lorica segmentata, right the way through to the late Roman period. That's what we would cover. And all the sort of enemy armies in between as well. So, not Germans, we've got them. What would we be doing? Huns and all that kind of stuff. All the barbarian invasion stuff.
Mm. So, you already released some packs for War and Empire out to retail.
Yeah.
So we've got there's 6 starter sets. Obviously covering the big hitters of Macedon, Persians, Carthage, Roman Republic, the Gallic, and obviously the Caesarian Romans.
Yeah.
And then you've got another 20 plus starter armies, which are I think the ones which you have on the Kickstarter, which
they are, yeah.
Yeah. They're really nicely priced, I've got to say.
So the box sets cover core troops. What we call core troops. Now, those boxes are designed for shops in particular because shops don't want to take a £120 starter box army or whatever it is, £100 box army, because it's hard for them to move that SKU. So we had to sort of rethink the way we were going to approach the ancients to make it a product that a shop would want to take, and condensing it down into sort of small starter core troops. So say for Carthage, you're going to get Libyan spearmen, you get Puini cavalry, and you get skirmishers and stuff like that. So you can play a basic 500-point War and Empire game. I think it's about 350 points actually for the Carthaginians, but you sort of see what I'm getting at. You can play a little starter army, and then you can expand that army by adding elephants and adding Celtic allies or Spanish allies.
Do you think you're going to extend the starter sets to have more from the starter armies?
You mean the box sets or the?
Yeah, because I mean the starter. It's a bit dark because they're very similar naming. So the starter armies are priced around about £80, and obviously you've got a nice size army for War and Empire, but then you've got the 6 starter sets, which are about £40 or so.
Yeah.
As you say, they're unicorns. And they're gone for retail, and I've seen them flying out the shop in Cardiff.
Right.
Are you looking to extend the starter sets to bring in more, or do you think you're just going to stick with the 6?
We're going to stick with those 6 cartridge packs for now. And then what we might do is run specials on the web store for sort of like this month we'll have X number of early German starter armies available. And do it that way.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've got blisters.
Yeah, lots and lots of blisters. Yeah, 162 packs.
And each of the blisters have got, 24 foot and 12 cavalry, or thereabouts?
Yeah, or 2 elephants or 2 chariots. Yeah.
So, that's a nice couple of units, really.
Yeah, you can build. Yeah, I think skirmishes, you probably get 2 units of skirmishes out of one of those packs, or you'll get a unit of cavalry, or you'll get most of a unit of infantry, depending on, obviously, if the pikemen, you need a lot more.
Yeah, I must admit, I've been using mine for some other sets of rules, sort of sword and spear into the strongest.
Yeah.
And I found that having an 18mm wide base, I can put 12 infantry on it, and it looks great. So, if you are, playing those other sets of rules, which are obviously quite popular, and you're looking for ancient armies, I would definitely suggest people go and have a look at the Roman Empire stuff, because it's just really good figures, and it just fits in with the way the armies are built. I've had no spare figures. They've all gone into building bases, which is, at the end of the day, that's what you want. You don't want to buy an army, base it up, and then find out you've got a whole load of stuff that you can't use.
Yeah. I think Andy, who did the list, who's our straight line designer, he's very mathematical, and he worked out that that's the best number, 24 and 12. That all subdivided by 4.
And if it was camels and 8s?
Oh yeah, camels and 8s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we've got this massive range that has now hit retail, and obviously we saw it at Salute for the first time. Well, it's been most people who weren't on the Kickstarter saw it in the flesh. I mean, one thing I was massively impressed with was the fact that very early on it was that you took the decision to say, well, this isn't going out to retail before everybody who backed it got their figures. How difficult was it to stay with that? Because I would imagine that would have a certain amount of financial pressure attached to it.
It does have. It does have, yeah. I think I'd finished my part of the thing about 3 months before the stuff actually came out, so I'm just trying to think back. The pressure's there, but I think what helped was people kind of kept buying the stuff. Like I say, it went up to 600 orders at the end of it. So people were buying it right up until their orders were due to ship, Neil. So that helped a lot.
Yeah,
ease the pressure.
I can imagine. Yeah. Because obviously, it was one of those things that as we said, okay, it was a decent sized Kickstarter, but obviously, there's this thing called cash flow.
Yeah. Which
keeps it running, and obviously it's very nice to have the initial surge of funds, but then, as you say, it was a year later or over a year later before the actual range is ready to go to retail, and it's obviously what happens in the meantime.
Well, I suppose that's down to the health of Westwind and Forging Battle, because they're very healthy companies, so they keep the cash flow and they keep the overhead covered, and people paid and everything, so. It wasn't a massive issue for us.
That's good, because there are, horror stories of firms who turn around and say that they're going to, send all the Kickstarter stuff out first, and then they, for some reason or the other, kind of renege on that, which it does leave a bad taste in the mouth, but you've never done it, which is a great thing, and that's probably why people like me will always trust you on Kickstarters.
Thanks. I mean, when we set out to do a project, we really cost it, and the reason that we were able to do everything is because we do everything in-house. So we don't outsource anything. People have asked me, why have you not done plastics? Why have you not gone to China and done plastics and done this and done that? Well, I don't want to I don't want to trust somebody in another country to delay things and to charge me more and to move the goalposts on me, and it's beyond our control, that. So we don't want to do that. Because we want to fill the project. We want that reputation we want the reputation of being a good company to actually back on Kickstarter, because you're going to get your stuff.
Yeah. So, 2 Kickstarters down. Are you planning to do another one, say, in the next few weeks or so?
I've got a little one coming along.
Was that? Sorry, hang on a second. That's a little one in your scale. So what? So that's only 150 figures or so.
I think it's running to projected to about 170 at the moment, plus mechs and various other things. Yeah, Secrets of the Third Reich II. Secrets of the Third Reich.
Which is something that was rearing its head. I remember even when Requiem was going, there was a whole section in the comments going, "Okay, this is great, but when are you doing Secrets?"
I know. Kind of people love it, but I kind of had a thing that we had to work through the things we had to work through. So we had to do Empire of the Dead because there were reasons why we had to do it the way we did that, and then we had to do something for Forged in Battle, but now we're back to Westwind again. So, and this is Westwind's time. So it's Secrets of the Third Reich II time.
Okay, so if somebody doesn't know what Secrets of the Third Reich 1 is, do you want to explain very briefly what Secrets of the Third Reich is?
28mm skirmish game that you can play up to sort of platoon level. So it scales from kind of squad size up to platoon. So you're looking at between 12 figures a side up to 40, 60 figures. Plus you can also use mechs and World War II vehicles, so Sherman tanks or Panzer mechas. And it's got the weird element as well, so you've got all the kind of weird science stuff, the super science. So you've got werewolves and vampires and zombies and all kinds of freaky stuff, especially in the new one. You've got all the Japanese freaky stuff coming.
Right, okay, so Secrets of the Third Reich 1 was basically, we were looking at the war in the West, really, so primarily we were looking at Brits, US, Germans and Russians.
Yeah, Eastern European stuff, yeah, Western Europe, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so that was Secrets of the Third Reich 1, and you also did an expansion for that called Doomsday, didn't you?
Yeah, Doomsday covered, it was kind of add-ons for all those armies.
Yeah. Okay, so when we start talking about Secrets of the Third Reich 2, as a rule set, is that basically Secrets of the Third Reich second edition, or is it just an add-on?
It's a second edition of the book, yeah.
Right.
So it's actually going to be 2 books. It's we're splitting it because the page count is going to be pretty big. It's going to be a rule book, which is all your core rule stuff, and then you're going to have a book called Armies of the Apocalypse, which is army lists and scenarios and mech design rules and all that kind of stuff in there.
Right. Okay. And from an army's point of view, we've already kind of talked about the fact that we're moving east, aren't we?
We are, yeah. Japanese and US Marine. Hopefully we can open the Japanese and US Marine armies. Get the backing for that. That'd be great. But we've got a lot of concepts and stuff done. So.
Oh, right, so it's one of these things so you're already in a situation where you're all ready to go with an awful lot of stuff, just waiting for the offer, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, we're looking at a second edition rule set. So you're saying, Secrets has been, I think, a pretty successful rule set on the whole, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, massive.
So is it likely to change much in the second edition?
It's going to be streamlined, and John Bailey's overseeing it, the guy who wrote the original book. There are some things, we kind of threw it open to people to feedback about a couple of months back, 2-3 months ago. So we've got a lot of sort of feedback on what needs to change and what people would like to see. And a lot of people actually don't want a lot of change, which I'm quite surprised actually. But, there are certain rules you know, that people think don't quite work 100%. Flamethrowers in woods, I think, is one of the ones I've been told quite a few times. Because if you get pinned in a wood and the wood gets flamethrowed, all your troops die, which doesn't seem kind of realistic. Because I know if I was getting set on fire, I think I'd run out of the back of the wood and risk getting shot. Yeah, instead of burning.
Yes, definitely less of the two evils, isn't it?
Yeah. So things like that, it's just kind of small stuff, really. More than a massive kind of rewrite of the rule system. You know, people like the rule system.
Where does it fit in with the stuff you did with Grindhouse in Incursion? Because I never really understood who was sort of driving that sort of board game thing. Was it Grindhouse coming to you for figures and concepts, or did you go to them to produce the board game?
Grindhouse is John and Jim Bailey, who wrote Secrets. So they wanted to do board games based in the Secrets universe, so that's kind of a offshoot company.
Oh, right, I get you now. I wasn't sure whether it was a separate company, but okay. That's all right. That was just my little
yeah, it's in a separate company, yeah.
Mm.
But obviously it was a case of that all the figures that ended up being produced for Incursion. I mean, that was one of the things. That was one of the things with the Doomsday expansion, wasn't it? That all that came into the Secrets universe.
Yes, the apes and Professor Von X and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Obviously, they're a different company, but I mean, are we likely to see more from Incursion at all? I mean, I know they did a Kickstarter to produce a plastic box set of that game.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I know, you see, John's a lawyer and Jim's an architect, so they're quite busy. So it's kind of a hobby project game company, if you know.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So getting back to Westwind, that's my little aside there. Sorry about that. So since the Third Reich, we're looking to go into the Pacific arena, and are you going to be extending the Western armies as well, or are you going to just try and concentrate on the new campaign area?
Got some ideas, yeah. I've got certain things that we might introduce, see how the campaign goes. Kind of like, I've got the concept for these, they're called Meteor Troopers. They're kind of SAS fast deployment troops. That's for the British. For the Germans, got another concept which they're called Scorpion suits, and they're kind of a cross between an armoured suit and a mech, and they're they're kind of like close assault troops.
Right.
Yeah, and all kinds of stuff like that. I want to kind of keep a bit of it hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you reworking any of the old figures that you produced?
No, but we're reorganising all the moulds so that rather than packs, because of the way Secrets grew, the figures came before the rules. So therefore everything was in packs of 4. So you got 4-figure command set, a 4-figure rifleman, 4 SNG guys. But what we're going to do is reorganise all the units so that when you buy a German rifle squad, you get the command and you get the rifleman, you get all the bits in the one box. So everything will be remoulded.
That's good, because I mean, it's something I've noticed on the shops is we're seeing an awful lot more game supplies moving away from blisters into, the sort of £30-40 box set where you buy a unit for a game instead of buying a blister. And the shops like it because it looks good on the shelves, and most people like it because they can just buy one thing and then off you go, and it's all there. You're not having to mess around searching through blisters trying to find everything.
Yeah, I agree. It's the right way to go. I mean, like I say, the Secrets grew organically rather than it wasn't planned that way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because Secrets was that your first game?
Yeah, Secrets was the first game that Westwind came out with. Yeah.
And that was about 5-6 years ago.
8 years ago.
8 years, is it?
8.
Is it really that long?
8 years ago, guys. Yeah.
God, no wonder my figures are dusty.
That's when we started it. I mean, the rulebook came out maybe 2 years after the figures.
Oh yeah, that's probably. I think I got into when the rulebook came out.
Yeah.
I just went mad buying lots of Russian zombies.
Yes, lots of zombies.
Yeah.
Still need lots of zombies.
Everything's better with zombies. Isn't that right?
Yeah. They're tough to kill, though. They're tough to kill. I've seen lots of games where, 50 zombies just overwhelm you. 6s in the head.
Can you give us the date the Kickstarter's due to launch?
Can't give you data yet, because when you submit it to Kickstarter, it can be a week before you come back to you, or 10 days. So what we're waiting on them to come back to us, and then we'll announce the date.
Right.
Once they okay it.
Okay, so everything's basically in place for it to go, yeah?
Everything's ready to go, yeah. Everything's in place. All the bits and pieces. What we're going to do, we'll send out to the mailing list as soon as it's ready. So if people sign up to the mailing list, they'll get sort of first, they'll know. We'll put it on Facebook, we'll put it on everywhere we can put it. You'll see it.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So the initial funding for the project is for the Secrets 2
It's for the 2 books, yeah.
And then once they're funded, then we move on to armies and then potentially expanding armies. So we've already talked about going into Pacific War if we get that far.
Yeah.
Would that mean that would be an addition to one of the rule books, or would that be a separate something?
It will be added to the Armies of the Apocalypse. So all the information for that will go into Armies of the Apocalypse.
Right, okay, so we can basically surmise at the moment that Armies of the Apocalypse is effectively the 4 armies that we've already seen.
It is, plus, it'll be all that kind of information, and then anything else that we've got in the pipeline.
Right.
There is another Kickstarter that you're sort of involved in as well, isn't there? Which started a little while ago, called Immortal, yes.
Immortal,
oh yeah. Yes, I noticed that, because all of a sudden, all your figures reappear. in a slightly different guise. I suddenly thought, hang on a second, isn't that the
Lucifer's Wars?
Angels and Demons?
Yeah,
Lucifer Wars.
Yeah, it is Lucifer. Yeah, it's a guy, my friend Dean is running a game called Immortal, and it's basically a Dark Ages kind of skirmish game, and it's got angels and demons and monsters and stuff like that in it, and he's used our Dark Ages figures, and he's used Footsword miniatures, which is Bill Thornhill's.
Yeah.
Bill from America. Well, he's in America now.
Yes.
Bill, Musketeer Bill, you know what I mean. And he's put those together, and he wanted to do a rule book, and he asked us if he could use our miniatures, and we said, yeah, no problem. And it's a nice rule book, it's really nice. He's showing it me, and I backed him. So I'm a backer on Immortal.
So either you get sucked into the Kickstarter.
I back loads of stuff. Don't ask me about World's Thinnest Watch, though. I back one called World's Thinnest Watch, and it's so thin it's disappeared.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's one of those Kickstarters.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oops. I think we've all been there to a certain extent. Right. Okay. So Secrets 2 is due to hit Kickstarter imminently.
It is.
That's going to take up your time for the next few months, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously you've already hinted that there's in the meantime these other releases coming out for other ranges, especially with Forged in Battle with their Freaky Core and 8th Army and stuff. Is that something that's just going to tick along a bit more in the background?
Yes, it's going to be sort of regular releases for that couple of things every month kind of thing.
All right, okay, so it's not going to be 1 month we're going to do, okay, here we have African Core.
No, we're not going to go...
And then the next month it's 8th Army.
Yeah, because I just use up all the ammunition we've built up, so it'll just be all gone. But we need to keep, people's interest in the company as we roll on with Secrets. Yeah.
And anything else coming on the horizon, or is it more of a case of, well, I think we've got more than enough to be going on with at the moment?
Oh, Bombshell Babes. Yeah, we're doing, have you heard of Bombshell Miniatures in America?
Yeah.
We're distributing their stuff now in Europe, in the UK. So we're working with Bombshell, and Bombshell's going to be involved in Secrets as well. So we're going to do some crossover stuff for Secrets.
Oh, cool. So you're going to end up with things like, effectively, some of the Bombshell babes are going to end up as characters in Secrets and stuff like that.
Yeah. We've got some stuff planned. Yeah. I can't tell you exactly because we haven't actually agreed exactly what it's going to be yet. But Patrick's coming on board and he's actually going to do some sculpting as well. So I'm going to try and persuade him to do the couple of the ladies because he's really good at women. So a couple of the female characters.
Yeah.
For Secrets.
Cool. And I was speaking to Wendy earlier, and she was saying that this time round we're likely to see a lot more kind of Kickstarter exclusive with different things like T-shirts. And I know you've been chatting to a certain dice bag lady about dice bags and those bits and pieces.
We have, yeah. We're kind of going, oh no, we're going commercial. What are we doing? What's happening to us? We're not just we couldn't get away with the ancients. Not many people want I Love Carthage T-shirts, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I the Carthage and there was nothing there.
I always fancy going though, but anyway, that's a different thing.
I bet the last one.
So we got some faction T-shirts because people like kind of faction T-shirts, and a lot of the artwork that I've already done, I've put together as T-shirts because we can get that done reasonably quickly. And the dice bags, you I think you're familiar with them. And custom dice as well. So we're looking at getting custom faction dice done, token sets, and all that kind of stuff that goes along with the game. So it just makes the game a bit shinier.
And it is popular. People like buying this sort of stuff.
They do, yeah, they do. I mean, we've even got faction bags, so you can carry your stuff in the Secrets of the Third Reich faction bag and all that kind of stuff.
Are you coming on with things like K&R, that sort of thing, or is that something you're producing in house?
We've got some. We've outsourced it, but it's nothing. It's not a war games industry company that's producing it.
Oh, okay. All right. So lots and lots of different Westwind merchandise to be had in the next Kickstarter.
There should be,
not just little figures.
Yeah, there should be, and a lot of it will just be Kickstarter only limited stuff. So a lot of the T-shirt designs won't be available afterwards. The dice bags will probably be available, and the dice, but not the T-shirts.
I think it's going to be another success.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. We've got a lot of nice stretch goals planned. Some really nice ones. I mean, you've seen Archangel. She's one of the actual stretch goals. But there's a whole bunch of there's Royal Singh or Red Claw, who's he's an Indian were-tiger character for MI13. We've got Machine and X, who's kind of like a German character. Krieghuns, which are genetically modified dogs. They're German as well. A bunch of stuff. There's lots and lots. I think there's about a dozen planned. So I can't remember.
Oh, so some of the stretch goals are going to be without giving too much away. It's going to be similar sort of thing to what you did with Requiem, for example, where you got a certain file and you got a character figure and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's going to be exactly the same as that. Yeah. What we're calling the stretch goal the Lost Patrol. Now you'll be able to recruit a lot of those for different factions. So they're kind of like.
I was going to say, because otherwise you run the risk of saying, well, okay, stretch goal number 3 is a Russian. Well, I don't collect Russians, so what use of that is for what use is that figure for?
Yeah, any character that's in the Lost Patrol can be recruited by, let's say, nearly everybody. I mean, some of them you won't be able to recruit because it's kind of more specific, but most of them you can recruit to the Lost Patrol, like Professor Barnes and his Gravity Claw. So you'll be able to recruit Professor Barnes and pick tanks up and throw them around and stuff like that.
I mean, luckily I've got no interest at all in the Secrets of the Third Reich, so I definitely won't be back in this one, he says. Hiding his credit card.
Yeah, you can tell he's a bit like Pinocchio at this point, can't you?
But not long to wait, anyway.
Looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it. Sounds good. As I say, I mean, there's been a lot of people that have been waiting around for probably a couple of years for this. So,
They have, yeah.
So hopefully it'll do well for you.
Yeah. I mean, we had to spend the time developing all the ideas and things first. So before we came back with it, and Kickstarter kind of gives us that platform to do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's been great to catch up.
Yeah.
And great to find out, how everything's been going. I mean, as I say, many congratulations with War and Empire, especially. The figures look stunning. I find it quite interesting that there's a couple of comments going around on some of the pictures saying, yes, these are 15mm, they're not 28.
Yes, yeah. People keep saying, are you doing 28mm cartridges? No, we do 15mm cartridges. Yeah, they can.
No, it's a really nice range, mate. And as I say, especially considering the challenge is to produce, bring something new to the 15mm ancient market. I think you've managed to do that.
Oh, thanks, Neil. Thanks.
So it's been good. It's been good to see, and we just wish you well with Secrets 2. I hope you got. It sounds really exciting. As with Mike, it's not a game I'm playing at all at the moment.
Right.
So I have no intention to talk back in this Kickstarter.
Well, don't start playing it now, Neil, just because you feel bad.
Well, I mean, having said that, I mean, I was a huge Incursion fan.
Yeah.
And at the point where you kind of said, oh yeah, we got Doomsday. I kind of went, ooh, that's really interesting. I started using all this stuff here, and it's like, oh yeah, all looks really interesting. All looks really good. So, I mean, I think it's a case of let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if that resolve holds for the next 6 weeks.
Fair enough.
I can certainly see that come by the end of June, I might be, there's a potentially a very good chance I might be handing you some more money from my wallet.
Oh. Well, the Incursion boat is due in, actually, for the shipment. We've had email off the shipping company that it's due to land at Southampton. And that's
is that the plastic stuff?
Yes. Yeah. So we're distributing it for Grindhouse in the UK and Europe. So we're expecting a few big pallets to come on a truck next week sometime. Next week, Wendy? Is it due to be delivered next week? The Incursion?
Well, yeah, it's due to land next week, but then it's got to clear customs.
Oh.
So,
due to land next week and then clear customs, but anytime soon.
Yeah, as soon as we can, really. Looking forward to that.
Did you catch that?
Yeah. Say with Secrets, it'd be really interesting. As I say, if we get to the point of those power armored samurai that you've teased on the website. This is one piece of concept art of a samurai in power armor, and you kind of think, ooh, that looks nice.
Yeah. If you look at the first page, there's like a group shot of, the slideshow. If you go to the first page.
Yes.
Have you got there?
Okay. Yeah.
And the guy in red on the left.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That demon.
That's an Oni from the Japanese list, and the guy on the right is another Japanese character, trooper.
So if anyone listening wants to see this, just go to westwindproductions.co.uk and click on the news, and you'll see these lovely slideshow of images.
Some of the concept art is coming forth from Secrets 2, and there's some really nice models coming.
There is. Anybody fancy a three-headed dog werewolf monster?
That is cool. That's cool.
That's going to be big, yeah.
We talked about Secrets, and one of the things is the Germans have werewolves, and especially when you sculpted them so they look like Dobermans and Alsatians and stuff. I thought that was inspired. So they were proper dogs. They weren't just a generic werewolf. It was these proper dogs, and then he's come up with Cerberus. And it's just
yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
I'm glad you like it.
Looking forward to that. So in the end, I'm going to have to back it just to get some of these, character figures.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which will then sit in a box.
Yeah.
Tell you what, you give me the money and I'll send you the box of goodies, right? Which you're not to open.
Well, it's been great to chat to you again.
Okay, guys, nice chatting to you.
Yeah, as I say, wish you all the very best for the next Kickstarter and everything else that you're doing. As I say, I mean, looking forward to seeing all the new releases from Forged in Battle and other bits and pieces. Thank you for thanks for chatting. It's been great to catch up with how everything's going. We look forward to seeing War and Empire in the flesh. We haven't really asked is when do you kind of think that we'll finally see the final rules for War and Empire? I know you said you're kind of 3 months into play testing those. When do you think we have a chance to see it?
Just let me check with Wendy, because she spoke to Anthony this morning. Did Anthony give you any idea when the final copy will be ready to go for download for War and Empire?
Yeah. That was what we were supposed to be getting together today, but obviously that's not today.
Yeah.
So he's going to come back to me. I don't think he'll be far off once he gets going.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah.
Really? I really don't.
Yeah, he's not. Anthony's not far off finishing the final sort of draft copy of the rule book. He's been having a bit of family thing, but it shouldn't be that long. I'll let you have a copy. Immediately I get a copy, Neil, I'll send you a copy. You can have a go.
I can definitely feel a Meeples road trip coming on you.
Certainly, yeah. Well, put it this way, I'm going to have to come over to you because I've got the armies to play them.
We just go up to Westwind and play on theirs. Play with theirs.
Yeah, you could come up if you want. Yeah, come up.
Oh, yeah, Oldham's not that far away. So, definitely, yeah. Yeah, road trip on the cards.
Yeah, come up and I'll see if I can get Anthony there, and because it's better to play with the guys written the rules then.
Yeah. And then we can record a nice podcast.
Yeah.
And perhaps a curry.
Curry. Well, actually, it's more Yorkshire puddings near us. There's no curry houses.
I'm quite happy with pudding, don't worry.
Rag pudding.
Oh. Right, okay, you on. We shall make that
Definitely.
happen. Right, well, as I say, Andy, it's been great to chat, and all the very best with Secrets 2. We look forward to seeing how that goes, and we'll catch up with you really soon.
Okay, guys. Cheers.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Well, it was great to catch up with Andy on the show. We did actually both get a chance to have a quick word with them at Salute. You may recall we were actually hoping to record this show a couple of months ago now, I think it was, and just one of those things that with diary clashes and family things and stuff, it just didn't happen. So it was great to finally catch up with Andy. And of course, Secrets of the Third Reich II, no interest in it whatsoever.
None at all. I am not.
La, I'm not listening.
Armoured Samurai, you say?
Armoured, what's the phrase? You had me at Power Armoured Samurai. Yes. Yeah, if it's anything like the concept art, you kind of think, oh, that's really cool.
Yes. It looks really interesting what they're doing. It's good to see they're going to just refresh the rules a little bit as well.
Funnily enough, even as we were chatting, I was gazing along my shelf I've got here, and all of a sudden I went, oh, there's the rule book. I do own a copy of Secrets. And I mean, they're a decent set of rules, but as you say, if they're revisiting them, and I mean, it's nice to see that they're kind of doing it, having had an awful lot of player input over a number of years now, and I suppose to a certain extent that they're taking the approach of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and it sounds like they got the rules pretty much finished. So it is just the figure sculpting, which we all know Andy is quick at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Despite the fact, if you turn around the area and saying, well, if it all goes to plan and it all follows funding, I mean, he already kind of hinted that there's potentially another 170 figures to add to the range, which is huge.
Yes, it is.
So lots to look forward to. Of course, I mean, although, it's Secrets of the Third Reich, it's alternate World War II. And, that figure range is so popular across a number of different rule sets. So you're not just tied into one game with, I mean, as much as people like to do one-stop shops, there are some really nice figures in there. I've got some of them, and of course I've got the stuff for Incursion, and there are some seriously nice figures.
Yeah, the Incursion figures are fantastic.
They are really, really nice, and so you're kind of looking at that quality of figure in other games and stuff, thinking, do yourself a favour and have a look at their range as well. If you play another alternative World War II. As I was saying before we started recording this bit, there's no way I'm getting back into World War II because I just sold all my 28mm World War II stuff.
Yeah, but don't worry about that.
Yeah. I mean, because of course, I've never done the thing where I've just sold everything and for a particular range and then got back into it within the next 12 months. I've never done that at all, have I?
No,
never.
But the good thing is you only need sort of 20-odd figures, so you're laughing.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's a platoon. Let's say platoon size. Platoon size game at maximum. And platoon size game. Where we heard that one recently. And it's not a big game to get into. I mean, obviously you got all the nice little support troops and this, that, and the other. But it's not like a tremendous outlay. And to be honest, I think the biggest thing I was impressed with the fact that they turned around and said, "Oh, we're going to be repackaging everything."
Yeah.
Because to be honest, getting into Secrets at the moment with the range they've got is a bit of a pain. So the fact they're turning around and going, we realise that, and we're going to repackage everything, is going to make life so much easier.
Yeah, it will do. And in the meantime, have a look at War and Empire figures, which are fantastic.
They are nice.
Yeah,
they are really, really nice. I've got some. I've got some little ones in here. I've got some couple of elephants and some successor cavalry that I will send some stuff off. And as you say, you kind of think, wow, these are 15mm. They are so nice. They are so good.
Yeah, I got lots of them.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of went a little bit.
Well, I didn't go too mad. I wanted to do ancient Greeks for a long time. I've never actually done them. I've always done sort of Macedonians, but that sort of era. And I wanted to do something a bit earlier. So I thought, well, I'll do the Greeks. And obviously you've got the Persians to go against them. But then I thought, well, if I get extra Greeks, then I could do Peloponnesian. And I can do Sparta versus Athens. And obviously, because the Greeks were so widespread, some of the Greeks I can use in the Persian army and vice versa. So I've almost, from two armies, built up enough to have 3 different armies set up, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, that makes perfect sense. And of course, I suppose, especially with something like Peloponnesian War, for example, where it is, essentially, you can use, 1 or 2 armies to represent any of the city-state armies.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives me lots of leeway and lots of the option of fighting different battles from a very small period, because it's always a problem when you get into, or when you want to play ancients, is where do you put your line? Which part of the ancients do you sit in?
Yes, because it does cover a big period. It does cover a big period.
Yeah, I was sort of looking at all the armies, thinking, I didn't want to just go on the trap of just doing Macedonians again, because I've done that before. So I think, I could do Seleucids. Okay, who do the Seleucids fight against? Well, other Seleucids, Egyptians, and very early Romans. Well, if I do Romans, Carthaginians. And you sort of get into this spiral of who to fight against. But I thought if I go really early, then I've got enough differences. Plus, it means I can buy some Scythe chariots.
Ah, okay. But,
yeah.
So it was the chariots that got you in the end, was it?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Well, I hope what you've heard has whetted your appetite. As I say, check out the War and Empire range, which is now available to buy.
Mm-hmm.
It was launched at Salute, and it's a huge range of figures. It really is. But the advantage is it means that pretty much anything you want to get into, up to from early early Ancients up until I suppose the end of Imperial Rome.
Yeah. So it covers that sort of 1,000-year.
We'll just start getting into the fall of the Roman Empire sort of thing. It doesn't quite cover those yet.
No.
But certainly, what was the point of the height of Imperial Rome from ancient Egypt? Pretty much everything's there. Yeah,
and also Requiem. Go and have a look at Empire of the Dead again. As Andy said, the rules are in Morgan's vaults. I got a copy a little while ago, and they're great. You can now, because I did drift away from Empire of the Dead for a while because I had all the figures, but I didn't have rules for them. So I started playing Pope Ali and stuff like that. But now we've got the rules for these characters, so I can jump back into it. Because
the thing with Requiem was that the Requiem Kickstarter massively increased the Empire of the Dead range, because before then it was essentially 5 starter box sets plus a dozen blisters, and so Requiem added so many figures to the game, but the majority of which you just simply couldn't play because you didn't have the rules in the game for them.
Yeah.
So to see that now that's now available. All these figures that we bought 2 years ago, we can now play. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. So check them out. And I say I'm looking forward to the extra bits that potentially bringing forward for Forged in Battle as well. I did have a word with Andy about Forged in Battle, about doing things like, excuse me a second, can we have some bazookas and some Panzer Shreks and a few other bits and pieces? Because that's the one thing that's missing from their range, which is a real shame. Vast majority of the range is in place for all the World War II stuff, and then there's just these little bits that are missing that you've got to go elsewhere for, which is a bit of a shame. But apparently, they're all there. They're just waiting to be produced. So looking forward to seeing a few more of those.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be, again, if he's got other stuff coming out, that's just great. So, and it sounds like he's sort of got a bit ready to roll for these other ranges. So.
This is good, and especially with the fact that with Plastic Soldier Company hinting that actually the next expansion for Battle Group is going to be Western Desert, which is something they've been I know Will's been wanting to do for a long time. And I know Plastic Soldier Company do loads of stuff in 15 mil, but if Forged in Battle are doing their Africa Corps and 8th Army as well, they do some really nice stuff. So as I say, I've got I may have the odd one or two blisters from Forged in Battle, which I'm really, really, really close to painting.
Yeah.
I'm honest. I really am, because, I mean, as soon as I finish painting these buildings that I've got here, that's one of the buildings I'm currently painting, which I've just chipped some paint off with my fingernail. But I'm in the middle of painting resin buildings, but I'm kind of thinking, because I've got to get them done, and then I've got all these wonderful Forged in Battle figures that I'm just waiting to paint. So I will be getting some of those done, honest, and then Mr. Hobbs can maybe even have his Germans back.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, they might even win a game before you have them back. You never know. Stranger things have happened, see.
Moving swiftly along, I think is the term.
Yes. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
So, Mike, thanks again for joining me, mate.
No problem.
And once again, thank you to Andy for spending the time to chat to us. And thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the show and you found it interesting. Check out the Kickstarter coming along very, very soon. So, until next time, happy gaming, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you want to know more about Meeples and Miniatures, there are several things you can do. First of all, you can visit the website at www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. If you want to contact the show at all, you can email me at neil@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk.
meeplesandm.co.uk. You can follow the show on Twitter. Simply look for M&M Podcast or click the follow us on Twitter button from the website. We also have a group on Facebook. That's the Meeples and Miniatures Podcast Fan Club. Again, follow the link from the website. And finally, if you want to help to support the show, you can always donate to the podcast by clicking the PayPal button on the donate page, again found on the website. Once again, thank you for listening. I hope you've really enjoyed the show. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.